morning, everybody. So let's talk about grammar, right? Which is useful for all the classes, isn't it? Even a person is not aware of English grammar. So if you just watch this video, I think you're going to understand what is the grammar part, which is very useful to us. And nowadays, whenever guys, like whether it be your subject or for your examinations or anything for your spoken English, okay? So for all these aspects, I think tense is very important. Understood? Tenses are very important for a person to communicate fluently. Understood? So today we shall start from the scratch, what is this English grammar about? Okay, so we all know that when we just look at different languages, okay, all these languages, they do have alphabets. The basic is what? Alphabets. Okay, so when we come to English, we all know that we have how many alphabets? We have 26 alphabets. Yeah, so in this 26, what do we say, guys? From A to Z or A to Z? Okay, A to Z. Right? So these alphabets can be classified into two categories, as we all know. Right? The first one is consonants and vowels. Consonants and vowels. Altogether 26. Now we have to when we just look at these consonants, we all know how many vowels are there. Okay, so we do have 5 vowels in English. Okay, so how do we consider them? What are they, guys? A, E, I, O and U. These are the vowel sounds. Okay, and the remaining 21 are consonant sounds. It's very important for us to learn consonant sounds and vowel sounds in English. Okay, so this is the basic part now. Okay, now let's come back to a different subject. This is the basics, and let's look at it, guys. Parts of speech. Okay, so how many parts of speech do we have in English? Again, this is a basic thing or a fundamental thing for us to learn. Okay, so noun, pronoun, word, adjective. So pronunciation is very important in English. Okay, so when we come back to this, let's talk about this just for a while. We'll just look at it, guys. A, D, J, E, C, T, I, V, E. This is called as the adjective, isn't it? So whenever we have a word which begins with A, D and J, okay, so wherever it is, whatever it is, whenever a word starts with A, D and J, okay, we need to keep this D silent. Okay, I cannot say adjective, but it is adjective. Okay, so this is one tip I can say. So noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, conjunction, preposition, adverb and interjection. Okay, so these are the basic things we need to understand. Okay, noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, conjunction, preposition, adverb and interjection. So far so good. Okay, now let's go to the next part. Like whenever we have to talk about sentence or whenever we have to talk about tenses, it's very important for us to understand what a sentence is. Okay, so how many parts are there in a sentence? Okay, so when we just go back to that, a sentence has 2 parts, guys. Okay, so it is called as the subject and predicate. Okay, a sentence can be classified into 2. Okay, it has 2 parts, subject and predicate. Okay, now what is a predicate? Okay, predicate is nothing but verb plus object. Okay, so it is the verb plus object. Okay, so when we look at a sentence has subject, verb and object. Now we need to understand what a subject is. Okay, a subject can be a noun or a pronoun. Are you all with me? A subject can be a noun or a pronoun. Okay, so what is the verb, guys? Verb is a very important part in a sentence. Understood? So we consider it as the heart. Okay, it is the heart of a sentence. Okay, verb is nothing but it tells us what the subject does. Understood? A word is an action word. Now, if we have to teach the students, guys, kids, okay, so we tell them that it is the action word. Understood? The action done by the subject. Now, if there is no verb in a sentence, then there is no meaning in a sentence. Understood? Now, let's come to the important part, or let's go into the main part of today, guys, the main subject. Okay, so we are going to see about verb. Okay, when we say verb, I have said that verb is an action word. Yes, verb is an action word. Now, a verb can be classified into two. It's called as the main verb and auxiliary. Main verb and the auxiliary verb. Okay, auxiliary verb is also called as the helping verb. Auxiliary is also called as the helping verb. When we come back to the main verb, it is also called as the principal verb. Okay, so it can be the main or auxiliary. Now coming to the main verb. So main verb can be classified again into two types, guys. Okay, transitive verb and intransitive verb. Transitive verb and intransitive verb, or we can also call it as finite verb and non-finite verbs. Okay, so very important thing for us to focus today is on the main verb and the auxiliary verb. Now, what do you mean by transitive verb and intransitive verb? Now, I'm going to give you an example, guys. Very simple. Okay, so I say, I eat apples every day. I eat apples every day. Now, the same sentence I write as, I'm eating apples. Okay. I eat apples every day. I'm eating apples. Okay. So when you just focus here, okay. Look at it, guys. Okay. So I is the subject. Okay. As I told you earlier, a subject can be a noun or a pronoun. Okay. So here I'm using noun. I'm sorry. This is the pronoun. Okay, a subject can be a noun or a pronoun. Let's come to this, the second part. This is called as the verb. Okay, I eat apples. Now, subject, word plus object. Now, it's a complete sentence in itself. Okay, because it gives us complete meaning. Okay, now let's go to the second one, second example. Now we have the subject, we have the auxiliary verb, okay, or the helping verb here, and this is considered as the main verb. Am is considered as the helping verb, and eating is considered as the main verb. Okay, now let's come back to this transitive verb and intransitive verb. Just keep these two examples in your mind. So we'll get back to them again, guys. Okay, so we were talking about the verb now, isn't it? So verb, I said, it can be studied under two headings. Okay, the main verb and the auxiliary verb. Okay, so here when we just look at it, transitive verb and intransitive verb, very important. Okay, so what is a transitive verb? Okay, so now look at it, guys. As I said, Raj eats mangoes daily. Okay, now here this is the subject, this is the word, and this is the object. Whenever we have an object, whenever you have an object for the verb of the subject, then it is called as the transitive verb. Understood? So what is the meaning of a transitive verb? Transitive verb always carries an object. Understood? When you come back to the next part, that is intransitive verb, okay, the verb, for example, Raj eats daily. So when we just look at this sentence, Raj is the subject, eats is the word. Okay, now where is the object? We do not have the object here. So how do we know like whether there is an object or not in a sentence? Okay, most of the people get confused because we have written Raj eats daily. Okay, some people consider this daily as an object, but that is not an object. Understood? So how do we, like, you know, the same sentence when you see in the first one, Raj eats mangoes daily. Okay, now I said Raj eats daily. Okay, now the object is missing here. So how do I know whether there is an object or not? You have to put a question, guys. Okay, so you have to say, like, you know, the verb is here. What is he eating? What is Raj eating? Okay, so when you get an answer, that means the sentence or the verb carries an object, then it is said to be transitive. Okay, so when you just look at the next one, intransitive verb, here if I ask a question, what is he eating? There is no answer. Okay, that means the verb does not carry an object here. Very simple. Okay, so we need to understand what is transitive verb and what is intransitive verb before getting into tenses. So that is the core subject here, guys, which we are going to discuss now. Okay, so let's get back to the auxiliary verb. Now we have seen the main verb. Main verb can be classified into transitive verb and intransitive verb. So when we just look at the auxiliary, very, very important, guys. Okay, auxiliary verbs. Right. So helping verbs are auxiliary verbs. So what are these auxiliary verbs? Again, we can classify them into like be forms, do forms, and have forms. Most of the time, this question is often asked, guys. Okay, these questions are often asked in competitive exams as well. Okay, so what are be forms? I think all are aware of it. Am, is, are, was, and will. Okay, so these are called as be forms. Okay, or helping verbs. The next one is do forms. Do, does, did. Okay, next one, have forms. What are have forms? Has, have, and had. Okay, so this is a part of auxiliary verb. Okay, now when we just look at the next part, so these are called as primary auxiliaries now. Okay, so these are called as primary auxiliaries. As I said, auxiliary verbs can be classified into two. primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries. Okay, so these are called as primary auxiliaries. And the next one is modal auxiliaries. I think all are aware of modal auxiliaries. Maybe you do not know the name, but we use them in our day-to-day language every day, guys. We use them on a daily basis. Okay? Can, could. These are called as modals. Okay? Can, could, will, would, shall, should. These are the main things, guys. May, might, need, must, dare, ought. Okay, so these are called as the modal auxiliaries. Okay, now just shall we recollect once or just shall we revise once what we have seen today? Okay, so we spoke about what, guys? The subject, verb and object. Every sentence has three parts: subject, verb and the object. Okay, now verb can be classified into two. Okay, so the main verb and the auxiliary verb. The main verb again is classified into two, that is the transitive verb and the intransitive verb. So when we talk about auxiliaries can be primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries. So far clear? Yes? Now the main part, shall we go to the main topic of the day is tenses. So most of the people are struggling with communication, I can say. Okay, they're not confident, they're not fluent. The main reason is, right from our childhood, we've been listening to this tenses. Okay, so I think they start with your elementary school. Okay, so even for graduates, undergraduates, we have this topic that is tenses. But still, what happens, guys? We are not very confident when we use these tenses. Okay, so when we just look at it, okay, they can be studied under three heads. I think all of us know that. Present, or we can say past, present and future. Okay, past tense, present tense and future tense. Okay, now let's get back to the present tense in detail. Okay, so in all these tenses, the word changes, guys. Okay, so the main thing which keeps on changing is the word. Understood? Okay, so as we have seen in the earlier topic, the auxiliary verbs, be forms, do forms and have forms. Understood? So auxiliary verbs can be used as main verbs as well. Okay, depending on the sentence, they can be used as the helping verbs. At the same time, they can be used as the main verb. Okay, so let's talk about the present tense in detail. Very simple. Okay, so we can classify this into four parts, guys. Simple present, simple present tense, present progressive, present perfect, present perfect progressive. Okay, these are the four types we have to cover under present tense. Okay, now coming to simple present tense, very simple. Okay, So, in order to understand simple present tense is used to talk about habitual actions or the daily actions. Okay, not only that, we have to, like, whenever we use universal truths, whenever we have to speak about universal truths or scientific facts, okay, or our daily activities, okay, for such things we use simple present tense. Very simple. Okay, so here, in order to, learn this, there is a simple, a structure. We have a structure to follow, that is the subject. If we have to talk about simple present tense, let's see simple present tense in detail, guys. Okay, so here we use the subject and the simple form of the word, or we call it as the stem, okay, or the root word, okay. So verb plus object. Look at the structure carefully. Okay, so that's the reason in the beginning of this topic I told you what a subject is. Okay, so a subject can be a noun or a pronoun. Understood, ma? Very simple. A subject can be a noun or a pronoun. Okay, now let's take a name. Okay, so if you have to talk about simple present tense, what did I say? Simple present tense is used to talk about habitual actions or to state universal truth, okay, or scientific fact, okay, or already pre-planned actions. Okay, so all these things can be said using simple present tense. Okay, in the beginning, or we'll talk about, whenever we have to talk about examples, guys, you don't have to search for examples. Okay, you just talk about, or you just think what your mother does, okay, your mother does every day, or what you do every day. Okay, so you start from your family, then you get n number of examples. Okay, so I can say I go to college every day. My dad, or we can say my father, reads the newspaper daily. Understood? So these are daily activities, what we do. Okay, so here it is called as the V1. Okay, so what is this V1, or the base form of a verb, guys? So V1 is the stem. Okay, the base verb. Okay, what do you mean by base verb? Like, cook, okay, walk, sing, dance. Okay, all these are action words. Okay, write, read, all these are action words. Now, why do we call it as the root, or why do we call it as the stem? Because we do not add anything to it, guys. This is what often students keep forgetting. Okay, so they mix up the verbs here. They mix up the tenses. When you're using the simple present tense, we need to go with V1, and nothing is given here, guys. We do not add anything here except for subject, word and object. Very simple. Subject can be a noun or a pronoun. Understood? So look at it. I go to college. College is the object here. The newspaper is the object here. Or my mother cooks food every day. Okay, so here it is the subject, the word and the object. Okay, so when you just go to the personal pronouns, here we have to understand, I think everybody, they know what do we say, a noun is. Okay, the naming word. It can be the name of a person, place or thing or an animal. Okay, so whatever it is, you can use it as the subject. When we come back to the pronoun, okay, so there are various pronouns, guys. Personal pronouns, you can use any one of them as the subject. Okay, so first thing is simple present tense. Simple present tense is used to talk about habitual actions. Very simple. Okay, so here the verb used is V1. I hope this is clear. So next we'll go to present progressive tense. Next one is present progressive. So progressive itself means continuous. Continuous tense. Okay, so here, as we have seen in the beginning, like we have two types of verbs, like auxiliaries and the main verb and the auxiliary verb. Now from here we are going to use both the main verb and the auxiliary verb. Okay, so what is present continuous tense? Okay, this tense is used, or present progressive tense is used to talk about actions which are going on at the time of speaking. Okay, so what is the structure here we need to follow, guys? Subject plus the auxiliary verb or the helping verb am, is or are, plus since it is present progressive, we are using only present tense verbs here. Okay, plus verb plus ing, the root verb plus ing form plus object. Very simple. Okay, so I can take anything as the subject. Okay, let me give my example here. I am teaching. I'm teaching grammar, or English grammar. Okay, so what are the students doing? The students are. So we have to notice this, guys. Singular and plural. Okay, so whenever I'm using singular subject, it takes is or am. I always takes am. I am. Okay, so the students are plural because more than one person, it is considered as plural, as we all know. The students are writing. If I do not use the object, then it can be intransitive. Then it is considered as intransitive. If I take the object here, then it is considered as transitive verb. Okay, now is, she is. She is singing. Okay, whenever you take a singular subject, it takes is. Whenever you take a plural, it takes are. So present progressive tense is used to talk about actions which are going on at the time of speaking. One thing we need to remember here is, like we use the helping verb or the auxiliary verb. Okay, so the helping verb is, the helping verbs which are used in present progressive are am and is. Okay, so when it comes to the plural, it is are. Okay, so simple. Now let's get back to present perfect. Okay, let's get back to the structure here. Subject plus so I think you have understood what present progressive tense is. Like, it can be called as present continuous as well. Okay, let's go to the third one, present perfect tense. Okay, so as the name itself suggests, perfect. Okay, so when do we use this tense? Let's look at the structure here. Subject plus has or have plus V3 plus object. Okay. Now we need to keep one thing in mind, guys. Like present perfect tense is always used to talk about the actions which were completed at the time of speaking, and definitely it has some relevance to the question asked or to the situation here. Okay, so here we have to use V3 form. Okay, so what is V3 form? It's nothing but here we have seen V1. V1 is the root word, and whenever we are using continuous tense, we have to use verb plus ing form. When we come to the perfect tense or the V3 form, it is ed, verb plus ed. Okay, so it can be ed or it can be en or it can be nt based on the word. Now, it's very important for a learner or for a speaker to focus on this has and have. Okay, first let me tell you when to use has and have. Most of the people, when they communicate, they get confused with has and have. Okay, so when we take I have, we have, you have, they have. So, plural is have. I have, we have, you have, and they have. Or any plural, guys. Okay, for this we use have. Now, when do we use has? He has, she has, it has, and any singular. We use has. Now, based on this, we can go with the examples. Okay, so the teacher has left the class just now. Okay, the teacher has left the class just now. So what are we doing here? Present perfect tense is used to talk about the actions which were completed at the time of speaking. That's the reason why we use V3 form here. V3 is what, guys? As I already told you, completed action. So this has always this has a connection with the question asked at the time of speaking. For example, someone comes and asks them, where is your teacher? The teacher has left the class just now. So you should not get confused this tense with the past tense. Past tense is different and present perfect tense is different. Or when we say the train has left the station or the platform few minutes ago. Or I have completed my project. So I have completed my project. Okay, the action completed at the time of speaking is present perfect tense. The very important thing is present perfect progressive. So what do you mean by present perfect progressive? So here we have to keep two things in mind. First, let me give you the structure here. Subject plus has been or have been. Plus verb plus ing plus since or for. Very important. Plus object. Now, what is this since or for? Since or for, as we all know, they are prepositions. Okay. Now, when do we use this present perfect progressive tense? Okay. So, this tense is used to talk about actions which have started and are still going on at the time of speaking. Understood? The action might have started some time ago and it is going on at the time of speaking. Okay. So, in such cases, we use present perfect progressive. Now, why do we use this since and for in present perfect progressive tense? Just focus. Let's focus on this point, guys. What is since and what is for? Okay. So, since is point of time, and for is period of time. So we should not forget these two. Since is to talk about, like, it refers to point of time, and for refers to period of time. Okay, now when we take this example, present perfect progressive tense. For example, let me quote my example here. I have been teaching since 9 o'clock. So what am I doing here? Whenever we use since, okay, so we need to exactly give the point of time or the year. I have been teaching since 9 o'clock, or I can say I have been teaching since 2000. Okay, year 2000. Okay, or you can say the students, or they have been. So I have used have here. Let's go with has. My mother has been cooking. So as we have used since here, let's use for. Okay, so my mother has been cooking for 5 hours. Okay, now here I'm not exactly telling, like, from which point of time to which point of time. Simply I'm saying 5 hours. It can be in the morning, it can be in the afternoon, or it can be in the evening. So I'm not very specific about the exact time, but I'm just talking about the period. So I can also say I have been working, or the students have been writing for 3 hours. Or I can say the students have been writing since 12 o'clock or 12 p.m. So whenever we use present perfect progressive tense, we should always keep in mind using the since and for. The since always refers to point of time, and for is period of time. I hope you all understood the present tense. Present tense can be classified into 4, as we have seen: simple present, present progressive, present perfect tense, and present perfect progressive tense. This is about present tense. Okay, now let's get back to past tense.